Well, happy Monday morning, and hopefully you didn't put a bet on the Philadelphia Eagles as the Super Bowl had the Chiefs take that title. Good morning, Greg Bishop. I did not watch the Super Bowl. I'll just come out and say it. It's not my cup of tea. Played football all throughout high school, but, that was enough. So instead of watching the Super Bowl last night, I was tuned in to a news conference that the Pentagon was holding. A late Sunday night news conference the Pentagon was holding. This is a first in a long time, at least that I've been aware of, watching news events and seeing things unfold over the weekend. What were they doing? They were talking about a fourth object that was shot down over the skies of North America. And this is just in 8 days, which is pretty remarkable. So we're going to be hearing a lot about that in the days ahead as more comes out, because it wasn't just a first that they had a late Sunday evening news conference during the Super Bowl, which really should have been blasted out all over the halftime show, quite frankly. But that is apparently also a first that we have multiple objects being shot out of the skies over North America in the span of 8 days. So we're going to delve into that now. But, of course, you can always chime in live and local at 217-629-7970. That's the phone number here with Springfield's Morning News. You can email me, bishoponair@gmail.com, or you can find me on social media. Just search out Bishop on Air. So where to start with all of this? You've got the multiple instances of objects being shot down, starting with that Chinese spy balloon that traversed the entire Midwest before it got shot down February 4th, just over the ocean outside of North and South Carolina. Pretty remarkable scenes. And seeing that balloon traverse the entire Midwest raised a lot of questions as to what is exactly the policy of taking out foreign objects that are in the sky. But this 200-foot tall balloon first reported over Alaska, and then it didn't get reported to the public until it was over Montana and visible with the naked eye. And that's when we started seeing stories 2 weeks ago before we saw this spy balloon practically take in all of the Midwest. Some of the indications are that this did have some monitoring systems so that the balloon could monitor communication systems in particular. So again, that was February 4th when that first object was shot down. Then February 10th, just as we were getting into the weekend, there was news of a small car-sized object that was shot down off the coast of Alaska. And then you start seeing even more. After the spy balloon, you start seeing even more pop up about news of different objects being shot down. February 10th, you've got a small car-sized object shot down. February 11th, you've got a cylindrical object that was shot down over Canada. Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, ordering that takedown. February 12th, he announced that. That was on February 11th when they actually shot that down. And what's fascinating here is the varying degrees of the reports of what the objects are, from a spy balloon to a cylindrical object to even on Sunday a octagonal object being shot down as it's being reported over Lake Huron. So we've got 4 different instances of things being shot down over North America just in the past 8 days. What in the world is going on? These are obviously some important questions that need to be asked. But we start with the Sunday talking head shows where on CBS, Face of the Nation, they had their national security correspondent, David Martin, on, and he talked about, how this was before news. By the way, this was before news of the object being shot down over Lake Huron in North America. So this analyst for CBS, this national security correspondent, David Martin, he talks about what exactly is the policy moving forward with multiple objects being caught by radar in the skies over North America.
When you speak to the Pentagon, are they any more clear on whether it is now established U.S. policy to shoot down any UFO over North America?
I don't think they have a policy. I think if a balloon like or an object like the last two, Friday and Saturday, is impinging on commercial aviation space. These both were up at about 40,000 feet, which is just the edge of commercial aviation. And if you don't know what they're doing, then you shoot. And that's what they did in these two cases.
It's an expensive habit.
It's an expensive habit, and also it may be a bad habit because you don't want to shoot first and ask questions later. But at least now that they're down, we're going to get some answers. The Canadian Prime Minister says he has a ground search team at the wreckage that went down over Canada. They are not yet at the wreckage that went down just off northern Alaska because they're dealing with something like minus 45-degree temperatures. But sooner or later, we'll get that wreckage and we'll know.
So again, a correspondent for CBS laying out some of the latest, at least early Sunday morning. This was after a announcement, of course, the spy balloon last weekend. Then you had, before this past weekend, the announcement of something else that was shot down. And then on Saturday, news of a object over Canada that was shot down. And then later in the day on Sunday, news of yet another object. So again, 4 objects in 8 days shot down over our skies. What's going on here? Well, here's some of the moments of the late Sunday Pentagon news conference that happened while a lot of you were either out doing things, having dinner with your family, or enjoying some good times with the Super Bowl. This was going on and unfolding behind the scenes. So we'll hear a little bit of what the Pentagon had to say concerning these objects that were shot out of the sky and whether this has happened before. So we'll get to that coming up. Back with Springfield's Morning News, talking about now 8 days, 4 objects shot out of the sky, starting with that Chinese spy balloon that was blasted out of the sky on Saturday last week, and then you've got the instances that just apparently keep popping up of different unidentified objects. One in northern Alaska, another over the Yukon, and then a third over Lake Huron, and different categorizations of what these exactly are. We've heard some in Congress say that they're balloon-shaped, but we've seen other reporting with one over Canada being cylindrical-shaped, and another over Lake Huron being octagonal. Now, the object that was shot over northern Alaska, we heard from previous Pentagon news conferences that they were able to at least get close enough for the pilots to determine that these were unmanned. So what's going on here? What are these? While a lot of people were watching the Super Bowl last night, the Pentagon held a news conference where it was revealed that this may be the first time that this type of activities happened, with kinetic action being taken against objects flying over our skies.
Just one quick follow-up. 4 shoot downs in 8 days. When was the last time that U.S. fighters were scrambled and shot something down over U.S. airspace? I can't remember anything. And it just seems like there's a large and quick escalation to shooting down objects.
I'll have to get with our historians. I believe this is the first time within United States of America airspace that NORAD or United States Northern Command has taken kinetic action against an airborne object.
So again, it seems that at least to that Pentagon official, this is a first. Now, he later on went to say that they've flown and scrambled jets before in other instances, but this is the first that there have been this many kinetic actions against an object over our skies in North America. Another question that was asked during that news conference that was late last night, while a lot of people were watching the Super Bowl, you had the Pentagon holding this news conference, and the question was, how's these objects being categorized?
Thank you, Tar. Thank you, sir, ma'am. Let's go to Jen Griffin, Fox News.
Hey, thanks, Pat. This is Liz. I'll be asking for Jen today. Are these balloons that have been shot down since Friday, or are they weather balloons?
You want me to take
Thanks
that?
very much for the question. Yep, go ahead, Glenn.
Yeah, so I'm not going to categorize them as balloons. We're calling them objects for a reason. Certainly the event off the South Carolina coast for the Chinese spy balloon, that was clearly a balloon. These are objects. I am not able to categorize how they stay aloft. It could be a gaseous type of balloon inside a structure, or it could be some type of a propulsion system. But clearly, they're able to stay aloft. I would be hesitant to and urge you not to attribute it to any specific country. We don't know. That's why it's so critical to get our hands on these so that we can further assess and analyze what they are.
So again, they're not sure what they are. They're trying to get their hands on these things. Some recoveries obviously going to happen, especially North Alaska, especially over the Yukon and over Lake Huron. Again, 3 unidentified objects, not sure where they're coming from. Different reports of it being cylindrical in one instance, octagonal in another instance, but obviously troubling, at least, with different variations of altitude as well, because the spy balloon was thought to be 40+ thousand feet. These are seeming to be lower altitude, which could cause some problems for civilian air travel, and that's one of the main reasons, at least they're saying, that they took action against these objects. Another reason they're saying that they're seeing more of these is they're tweaking their radar, and they also say that that's why they're able to go back into time and using already captured radar data. They say similar types of incursions happened during the Trump administration without the Pentagon really knowing about it. So that shows a weakness in the Pentagon's ability to track these things, or at least having the satellites and the radar imagery to be fine-tuned to capture these things and to raise alerts. That seems to be some of the rationale that was given as to why they're just now seeing these. I will take a call here in a moment, but I wanted to share one last clip from last night's late-night news conference, which was rather remarkable. Again, I've never known a late-night Pentagon news conference to happen, especially during the Super Bowl. But one question was asked that is on a lot of people's minds.
Hi, thanks, Pat, and thanks for doing this. This is for General Van Herk. Because you still haven't been able to tell us what these things are that we are shooting out of the sky, that raises the question, have you ruled out aliens or extraterrestrials, and if so, why? Because that is what everyone is asking us right now.
Yeah, thanks for the question, Helene. I'll let the intel community and the counterintelligence community figure that out. I haven't ruled out anything at this point. We continue to assess every threat or potential threat unknown that approaches North America with an attempt to identify it.
So again, some questions there as to what this thing is. The Pentagon did say that they will be analyzing any kind of imagery, and whether or not they release those in the days ahead, we'll see. And we'll obviously be talking about this much more as more details come out. But again, 4 objects shot down over North American skies in the past 8 days. What in the world's going on here? I'll take a quick call. Good morning. You're on WMAY.
Yeah, maybe a very simple question, and they just said imagery. These some of our Raptors can go 65,000 feet. Are these guys not flying by close enough to put eyes on them and see what they actually are?
Yeah, and that was brought up as well as far as being able to get eyes on them in the first instance in the North Alaska area. One indication, at least that I saw from reporting, was that they did get somewhat close enough to realize that it wasn't manned. The other instances, I didn't really hear too much detail about how close these jets got to them. But the question was asked as to why use heat-seeking missiles. It seems that's pretty destructive if you're wanting to recover some of these objects. And the discussion was about, if they were to use guns on the jets, then you could create debris that the jet might fly into and so on. So there were various rationale given for why they chose to take the route they took. But one thing's clear here is that this is an indication to others around the world of America taking kinetic action against objects that seem to be making incursions into our airspace. And is this an act of war if indeed it's coming from other countries? Something we're definitely going to keep a close eye on, because this is unprecedented that you have 4 objects in 8 days being shot down, especially with the Pentagon saying they can't really think of any modern instances of this happening, and then having to hold a news conference while the entire country is practically watching the Super Bowl. So again, I think that instead of having Rihanna perform at the Super Bowl, they should have just said, you know what, sorry, we're going to blast this over the intercom just so everybody is aware of what's going on. Maybe that would have caused some panic, who knows, but just pretty remarkable, no question about it. Hey, I'm Greg Bishop. Thanks for tuning in each and every weekday morning from 6 to 9. We break down and analyze what's going on in and around the world and here in Illinois. So if you enjoy what you're seeing, be sure to follow me, Bishop on Air, on Twitter, on YouTube, on Facebook. We stream live 6 to 9 every weekday morning on WMAY News on Facebook and Bishop on Air on Facebook and Twitter. So be sure to like, subscribe, and follow along. All right, stay tuned. We got much more